That's I think we're good to go. We can just
All right.
chill. Okay. Sweet. We should be live. Welcome everybody back into Crypto's News for this nice Friday night special. It looks like a lot of the Hexicans, I guess you call them, seem to be excited because it looks like you do streams on Fridays. How's it going, Richard?
It's going pretty good, man. It's going pretty good.
Yeah, nice. I haven't had you on in a while. I believe this is our third interview, actually.
Probably. Yeah, I think so.
Cool. So you've been doing a lot today. I finally decided to dig into the detail. That's what I was just telling Richard about Alex Saunders and this entire drama that's been going on recently. Some of my own viewers have been asking me about that. They've been asking me about Pulse, of course. So I mean, I think it's a prescient time to definitely bring you on to discuss that. I was just watching that interview. It's quite a long one, of course. I mean, I believe you cut him off a little bit early. I skipped to like the middle section of it. But yeah, I was still stuck in the looking at volume and market cap and all that when you were doing some screen sharing stuff. It didn't look like the best show, I guess you could say, for Alex. And I've interviewed him before, but he just seemed a little bit confused. What was your take on that whole thing? You seem to get more and more frustrated, and I haven't seen you that frustrated in a while.
It's like I love talking to people and having conversations. I love it. Yeah. And it gets very irritating when people are unable to make progress and they just keep saying the same thing over and over and over again because they don't have anything else to say. Yeah. That is super irritating. And then I try and like emotionally satiate them by repeating their argument to them 10 times in a row so they know I get it and they know they get it. And then hopefully they can say something else. But his brain is so vacuous that it didn't contain any other useful information. He said that he was cut off early, but he wasn't. He chose to stop talking. He said, I'm going to leave now, or in his words, I'm going to love you and leave you. And then he started to try shilling his paid group. And I'm like, no, you're not shilling a paid group to my users. I know what happens in paid groups. Everyone loses all their money. And then I was like, wait a second. So I wanted to bet this guy because I think he's a pleb. And then I thought to myself, like, actually, he's broke because he keeps trying to hit me up for money. I can't make a bet with this guy. I'll never get paid, even when I win. So I published it was the first time I've ever published a private conversation in my entire life. This guy tried to borrow $1.2 million off me. And then
50 Bitcoin. Yeah.
It was 20, but I misquoted it as 50 in the tweet. Yeah. But the 1.2 million is an accurate number. And then he tried to charge me 60 grand or 50 grand for some pre-sale and some fantasy token that didn't exist. Yeah. And then he tried to convince me to give him money to go on a show. I don't give people money to go on shows. When I show up on a show, I'm the highest.
That's what threw me off because I would never have expected Alex to be like that. Like he was usually against that kind of thing from what I've seen in the past. So I'll tell you what was surprising to me the most. So Alex Saunders, if you guys don't know, I guess just briefly that drama, he's had a fall from grace, shot through the heart, I think is what Cointelegraph said or something like that, whereby he was creating, from my understanding, he was trying to talk to me about it as well. He was creating a kind of bank that basically it's going to be MakerDAO, so like Maker, but going back to the original style of Maker. That's how it was pitched to me, whereby it would be like a stable coin backed only by Ether and not USDC, which many have seen as possibly centralizing DAI, the stable coin. So he was going to do that. I was like, okay, cool idea, cool, whatever. And he kept like, sharing more information about that. That was the last I heard about it. I didn't really respond to that. But from my understanding, he's been asking a lot of people for money, including Richard, for money. BitBoy as well said he lent him like 5 Bitcoin as well, I believe at the end of last year or the beginning of this year, and he didn't get that back. And a lot of investors, private investors, put money into it. And after your interview, from what I heard, and this is what I heard, that basically it came out that a lot of investors wanted their money back, but the money wasn't there for them anymore. And he had deposited that money into FTX exchange. So, but yeah, I mean, okay, so.
If you're gonna scam, maybe at least don't take all of your unlicensed, unregistered security stories that you're just giving people to take all their money and then send it directly to the margin trading exchange. At least maybe run it through Tornado Cash or something. I mean, to take people's money you're stealing from them and send it directly to the margin trading exchange. And you're just like, that's balls, man. That's pure. Yeah. That's like, actually, that's a guy that begs money from you and like, hey man, I got to catch a bus in front of like the 7-Eleven. And then he immediately turns and gives it to the drug dealer right in front of you. Like the story wasn't even mattered, you know?
That's what throws me off for sure. So he put it into a leverage trading exchange, and like the word scammy, I would like to think, my original thought was he actually wants to create this project. He's taking the money, but you're right, if he's depositing it in an exchange. And I've heard all these rumors abound about gambling problems as well. So that kind of links up with it, that maybe he tried to gamble it, some of those funds or all those funds. But
the grossest part is that it's like, okay, there's people out there that diddle kids. It's terrible. But when a priest does it, it's worse, because that's a person that's supposed to be the top tier, best, you know, most honest guy. There's scumbags out there that scam all the time. All right. Like the guy in front of the 7-Eleven, the crackhead, fine. But then when a guy punks his kids and his wife and talks about how they live in a small family home and has a picture of his wife and his profile photo and is putting his wedding pictures out there and is doing every scammy thing he can do to try and come off as a nice, honest family kind of guy, but behind the scenes is victimizing people by the hundreds and costing them their life savings and lying to them and performing illegal activities. You cannot take money into a common pool with the expectation of profit of others, and it's a security. And I don't think he has a Reg D or a Reg A exception. So, I mean, this guy, he's robbing people, and then for some reason, people are so kind that they think he should get a free pass, or people should let up on him. So what, he can go victimize more people because he'll reload everybody. These scammers, what they do is they bang you for everything you got, and then he'll call you under another identity and tell you he's the recovery team to help you get your money back. It's like a guy that steals your stuff and helps you look for it. Total and complete scum.
Profit the solution. It's all come out damning. Like I said, I want to have Alex on the show too. He agreed to be on the show just so people know at some point in the future, because I want to get the full story. I know he can't probably talk too much right now. I understand he's probably
let him incriminate himself, man. Ask him the hard questions.
Yeah, I know.
Alex, why are you stealing?
They're all hard
money?
Questions. Yeah,
like, specifically, why are you stealing people's money? Where did all the money go? And when did you get liquidated? And how many times? Show us the logs. Show us. Tell me where that chart hurt you.
Yeah, maybe FTX will show us that information. I hope that they're looking into it. Yeah, I guess not, but
I mean, yeah, like Sam Bankman-Fried posted that it's escalated as high as it can go, and that's about as good as you can do. I mean, he owns the exchange, so
yeah. Well, I don't know what good can come of it. He said he hasn't shared his store, and he said that he's gonna share whatever. I don't know how you can come back from this, honestly, because it seems.
Well, he'll come back. He will. People will forget. I'm telling you. If you don't put this guy down hard, he will come back in 6 months and reload everybody. Scammers just change. They don't go away, man. I mean, you're not a stranger to that word scammer as well, because people have called you. Yeah, but the difference is that when people call me scammer, it shows how horrible they are as human beings. I'm the guy that just raised $26 million for charity out of the kindness of my heart. I'm the guy with the free self-help books that I wrote out of the kindness of my heart and give away for free. I'm the guy with a self-help YouTube channel where all of my earliest videos are me trying to make people's lives better. I'm the guy handing out free coins. I'm the guy that called the top on the day. I'm the giving tree of crypto. Anyone that doesn't like me has something wrong with them. You know, you might not like the way I talk. You might not like my $1 million of watches. When it comes to making the world a better place, I'm hitting home runs every day.
I wish the Hexicans wouldn't tag me in everything. That's the only thing I wish for.
Have less followers and they'll stop.
Yeah,
as long as you got a lot of followers, you're target, bro. Because they're hungry. They want the respect that they've been denied. Hexicans have been treated poorly for 2 years now, and we've dominated everything and everyone. We've got 100% uptime. BitMEX founders went to jail. OKX founders went to jail. KuCoin got hacked. Binance got hacked. Ravencoin had a 10% inflation bug. Lumen's had an inflation bug. Okay, guys, we've had 100% perfect, flawless operation. It's time for everyone to respect now.
I think that's kind of been the shift as well, which is like, I guess most people expected that Hex would go down quicker. Not that,
not going down at all.
Not going, it hasn't yet, right? I mean, or it won't. Whatever. I don't know. I'm not here to argue whether Hex is good or bad. I don't want to spend my time too much.
Pulse is more exciting
on this.
To people.
Pulse?
Pulse is more exciting to people.
And I'll tell you, I don't know anything about Pulse, embarrassingly, so I wanted
to okay. You're talking to the right guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you covered, bro.
so I know nothing. All I understand is it's an Ethereum fork, and I know you're raising money as well, which I found interesting. I love to chat about like futurism, longevity, like all of that kind of stuff as well. So
great.
Medical research sounds super cool.
I
mean, I would like to learn about that for sure.
I'll start with the medical research part. I've been retired for 20 years. I've had more money than I know what to do with for 20 years. I retired in 2003. Crypto was invented in 2009. So for me, I knew that what I would need to do to live my highest and best life would be to develop the technology that would allow me to live a little bit longer. So in 2006, I was volunteering for the Sens Foundation in Cambridge, UK. That's where I met Aubrey de Grey and some other cool guys. And I thought, all right, I'll make this a mission of my life. I'm going to go and try and raise money for longevity research. And what I found out was everyone hates it. No one likes it. They think that you turn 50 or they think that you turn 80 and just stay 80 for a while longer. Doesn't work like that. You just stay young longer. You don't stay old longer. And, you know, it was just like bashing my head against a wall. I grew a big beard to try and look older because I was so young at the time. You know, I might have been like 26, 27 years old, something like that. And it was just too hard. I was like, screw it. I'd rather just travel the world and live in a hotel for 5 years and just have fun because this was too hard. And then, you know, I wrote the Sci-Vive book to try and create people of similar mind to me. That's like, here, I'm going to teach you how to get rich. I'm going to teach you how to find love. I'm going to teach you how to do everything that I know how to do that's good. And then hopefully if I fill your cup up, then it floweth over and you'll want more. You'll be like, yeah, okay, well, I've already got the great quality of life. So what's left? Quantity of life. They multiply by each other. So this is the meaning of life to me. If you were only alive for a second, probably wouldn't have developed friends, probably wouldn't have developed a personality, not useful. And if you were alive, but you're in infinite pain, also not useful. And so what you need is health span, which is hours of healthy life, and quality of life. And we're far into diminishing returns on quality. Like these watches, they don't even tell time well. Burgers aren't getting any better. We're the limiting factor. Our taste buds aren't good enough. Movies, maybe some of them are a little bit better. Maybe
they're getting worse.
Yeah, right.
I disagree. Yeah,
sure. Like, man, I've seen some bad ones.
Sequels after sequels, jump cuts everywhere.
Sequels are
Watch
horrible.
old movies. Like, yeah.
The
Marvel movies,
the sequels are the worst. Those are some of the better ones. Like, they're mostly
sadly,
worse than that.
That's how you know that you're an A-list actor when you're a superhero at some point. Yeah.
Right. So the point is, like, if the meaning of life is to increase the quality times quantity and you're far into diminishing returns on quality, you have like really easy gains to be made in the quantity side, which no one's working on. But you go, Richard, wait a second. Isn't everyone working on that? No one's working on it. Let me explain. 80% of people die from cancer or heart disease, 40% each. If you cured cancer, people live only 3 years longer. That doesn't make any sense. It kills 40% of people, but if you cure it, people only live 3 years longer. Why?
Because of telomeres. So basically, there's like the length of the telomeres is the argument. I don't know. That's what I've heard.
It's not that.
So like, for example, when they try to lengthen the length of the telomeres, as it gets shorter, basically there's a limit to them. And then once they run out, from my understanding,
but they do that to prevent you from dying of cancer. So
exactly. So in lab rats, they lengthen them and they get cancer. And funny enough, actually, I don't know if you know this, in laboratory mice, most of them have been all bred with each other to the point that they all have longer telomeres. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not a good. I mean, good. the guy that discovered that was Brett Weinstein.
Yeah, exactly.
So the issue is, the reason that you only live 3 years longer is because a decaying system causes the pathology of cancer, and it also at the same time causes the pathology of heart disease and stroke and Alzheimer's. And the decaying system, if you cure one of the side effects, you just get the next one. So the problem is the decaying system, and the band-aids that people are trying to put in them just compress morbidity. So you die at the same age, but you get screwed up in a shorter time frame to when you die. So your lifespan hasn't increased at all. The lifespan maximum of a human is 120. It hasn't increased at all. But your life expectancy, the likelihood that you get towards 120, has increased. It's called compression of morbidity. And that's not good enough. It's really not. I want to see longer lifespan, right? Like tortoises live a long time, sharks live a long time, whales live a long time, clams live a long time, lobsters, jellyfish, lots of living things live a long time. Why don't we work on that technology? Now, what if Albert Einstein and Thomas Edison and Alexander Graham Bell were still alive today, working hard? The world would be a better place, but they're not, because they rotted and died like, sacks of meat that we are, and no one's working on that. Everybody's working on everything else that doesn't matter. You want, like, we live in a world of the electron now, and that's great, but we're not made of electrons. We're made of atoms. We're the meat space. And we need more people to work on the meat space, because what else is a better thing a human can do than heal another human being? It's the highest and best cause that any human being could possibly have, is to heal their fellow man. And very few people are working on it. They need more money, and they need to change what they're doing from band-aids on stuff where you just get the next thing anyway. So if you can do any intervention, whether it's diet, exercise, or technology like senolytics or metformin or rapamycin, any of those things, if you can get 4 years out of those, it's more valuable to humankind than curing cancer, which kills 40% of people, or curing heart disease, which kills 40% of people. Raw facts. And people don't even allocate their money properly. Breast cancer research is massively overfunded. Like if you look at the likelihood that you get something versus the amount of money it gets, they're mismatched. So there's so many things that we can do to be a better race of humans, a better group of creatures, that you need to incentivize people to do it. So, I mean, I brag about raising $26.5 million for charity, but I'm not actually the hero. The hero are the people that really put the money in. There was a guy that took $10 million of USDC from Coinbase and put it right into the Sense Foundation and told Aubrey why he did it. He said, I've been watching your stuff for years, and I always knew that I wanted to invest in it. But I always thought, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. I'll just wait till I get a little more money. And then finally, this Pulse sacrifice phase where he would get free tokens for donating to the Sense Foundation kicked him over the edge. And it kicked a lot of people over the edge. I mean, he was just 10 million. There's 26.5 million so far. And their annual budget that they used to get regularly was about 2.5 million max. And then once in a while, Vitalik would hit him with 4 million. He did it twice. He hit him once in 2017, and he hit him once maybe 3 or 4 months ago. But that's it. That's all they're funding. So they were. Let me tell you, man. If you're a not-for-profit and you're only making $2 million a year, you ain't getting nothing done, man. Because you got $350K a year in overhead just for your 3 executives to keep it going. And I know because I've read the reports that they're publicly available, right? So it's a registered charity. They have to report these things. So it's just the thing that could save all of our lives and our kids' lives and our families' lives and the rest of humankind's lives and reduce so much suffering and make the economy so much more efficient. Now people aren't having their very expensive last year of life. Your last year of life is equal to all the rest of your years of life combined in medical expenses. And if we could delay that and keep people productive in the workforce and not rotting in a hospital, it's better for everybody. It's better for everybody. So there's massive wins to be had with healthier, happier people whose, sexy time is more fun, and they're not just dying and rotting and even forgetting who their friends are and who their family are.
I guess the argument would be overpopulation, though, against that.
Just
to take the other side of that.
I'll give you all the arguments. Dictators live forever. No, they won't. They die all the time. It's a very dangerous job. Only the rich people have it. No, they won't. Cell phones, computers, rich people had to have them first. Now look, all the plebs have exactly the same quality. Your phone and your computer are just as good as Bill Gates, probably better, to tell you the truth. You see him in a video, his stuff sucks. What else? Overpopulation, where? Negative population growth in Europe, negative population growth in Japan. There's negative population growth all over the place.
But assuming you were successful, or the Sense Foundation was successful, rather, in lengthening lives,
people will just screw us.
Just how destructive we are.
We're not destructive at all. Who do you think is going to? We're not destructive at all.
You don't think so?
I'm going to prove it to you. 99.9% of any living thing that has ever existed is permanently extinct. Every once in a while, an asteroid comes and kills everything. And who do you think the only species on this planet is that can save everything else? It's us. It's the humans. We need to catch the asteroids early and shift them off their path, or everything on this planet will die again. So when I hear stories about us destroying the planet, in fact, we are the only people that can save it. Matter of fact, we're so important that we even generated the concept of importance. And if we die, importance dies with us. The very idea that something matters dies with us. Yeah. So, I mean, we matter a lot. And this,
and by the way, not that we don't. Absolutely. No. I totally agree.
And if you're looking at like the overcrowding thing, get an airplane. It's empty everywhere. The only places it's not totally empty are where people want to stack on top of each other because the restaurants are better. That's it. There's no forced overcrowding anywhere, man. There's not.
It doesn't really last. Like Kowloon, Walled City. That was super interesting watching
Cool
documentaries
looking.
about 700,000 people, like basically per block equivalently. Like it was insane. It was super cool looking. Wish I could have gone to that. But yeah, I mean, people were happy to live there. It also kind of went away. Nothing lasts forever. That's the one thing I do know. But it would be nice to have a better...
Think about all the energy in this universe that we live in. Is it not there for us to utilize? If you're a religious person and you're not allowed to commit suicide, and God gives you the tools to save your own life, and you choose not to use them, aren't you kind of committing suicide? Shouldn't you use those tools he gave you? Because the game didn't have to be this way. The game didn't have to be the way where you could improve yourself and improve your fellow man, but it is that way. And so I feel it's our obligation to do it.
Yeah. So what exactly is Pulse? Is Pulse related to raising money for the research?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to medically save people's lives. I'm trying to emotionally save people's lives. The books do that. And oddly enough, Hex does it more than the books do, because it gives people that were going to kill themselves something to look forward to in the future. I swear to God, it was the weirdest thing I ever seen. I never predicted that ever, because I wrote books to try and help people and they didn't do anything compared to what the currency did. It was like, okay, weird. So the Pulse is trying to save the environment. Bitcoin only has two functions: mine coins, which means destroy the environment. 30% of it destroys the environment. Maybe 60-70% of it is renewable, but you can get all the security without any of those costs. See, in Bitcoin, every day miners dump the price. And what do they buy when they sell their coins? I know, because I was a miner. I used to mine full blocks on my own, 50 BTC block rewards, no pool. I would double click an EXE on my computer, and Bitcoin would come into my computer back in the first quarter of 2011. I was mining on a Radeon 5970 dual GPU thing. And then I bought a farm of them and bunch of 6950s.
I had one of those. Those
there
were
you go.
Really awesome.
They were good. Yeah. Back then they were good, man. Hot.
I mining
used
ETH
to have
with
to
it.
put resistors. Really?
Yeah.
Man, I thought these...
Well, it wasn't... I think it was probably a further version. But it was definitely like dual cards. It comes with a huge heat sink. Yeah. It was later.
I think, I was in 11. I think ETH came 13, 14, something like that.
Yeah.
So the inflation that I mined out of thin air, eventually, like, people don't realize that miners just dump the price. They buy electricity and hardware. They sell coins. They don't buy coins. They sell coins. And it's funny because they all would have made more money had they just bought coins instead of mining hardware. Mining hardware is a terrible value proposition.
Yeah.
So if you could remove miners dumping the price all the time and still have security, you have increased price performance because you have less negative externalities. It's a more efficient system.
But no, I have a question. Actually, I've seen you turn around back to Ethereum, like Ethereum build, using Ethereum before. And in the beginning, I believe you were more on the maximalist side as well.
Sure, I was. Ethereum used to suck. It used to be garbage.
So did you not?
And then it stopped being garbage.
Yeah. So as someone who created Hex, obviously you stake Hex and all of that. The proof of stake obviously might have even played a role in its inspiration. But was that ever anything that you had to battle? Did you ever dislike proof of stake versus proof of work, where you mine like coins versus
Hex? I think is Hex. I don't know if it's the first, but it might be the first hybrid proof of stake, proof of work system. So Hex is interesting in that we use proof of work to do transactions, but not inflation. And then for inflation, you prove that you staked. It's proof of weight. So basically all Hex is Bitcoin with a proof of work change from burn electricity for SHA-256 mining to weight. We just replace proof of work with proof of weight. And then instead of building our own network and getting 51% attacked all the time, like Ethereum Classic does, we just piggybacked on ETH and it's worked perfectly. It's worked absolutely perfectly. Yeah. While everything else has failed around us, my design worked perfectly. So
it's funny because listening to Alex as well, I think he didn't bring up the one thing that is the primary reason I've held a Hex because I got it for free. Some people just tipped me some and I left it there. I
bet you did pretty good on it.
I don't know.
You did pretty good on it.
Probably not.
The price went up 380,000%, bro.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not much turns into a lot when you multiply it by 4,000.
Yeah, I thought maybe because of not staking it, it probably didn't do anything or turn into very much at all either.
It went up by 4,000 without staking. With staking, it went up by like 7,000 or 8,000.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I'll check that out. But the main reason I didn't personally go out of my way to get more or do anything, which I don't think he brought up at that point.
Probably looked like a scam to you. Probably looked like a scam.
It still kind of does.
10,000x.
I'll tell you the only reason why. And it's not a scam. It's more like it has a scammy potential, which is different. It could be a scam, like anything else. And I'll tell you how it could become a scam.
All right.
Basically, I mean, you already know. It's just the one account that holds the 90% or whatever of Hex could one day decide to sell them. But you had mentioned something in that interview, which was something about sister chains and them moving over there. And I don't understand how that whole thing works.
Hold on. I run into this a lot, and I think it's really, really funny. I think I can explain this into a way that gives you a paradigm shift in understanding. When was the best time to buy Bitcoin? When Satoshi owned 100% of the coins.
Yeah.
When was the best time to buy Facebook shares? When Mark Zuckerberg owned 100% of the shares. And I could go down this list to every single endeavor that humans have ever performed, basically. And you'll find that the correct time to buy them for maximal return was when they had low volume, no liquidity, and one guy owned everything. And that was the best time to buy. So when I hear these appeals to like, oh, I wish it were more decentralized, it's literally equivalent to, oh, I wish I had less opportunity. Now let's talk about the value of decentralization. A lot of people think that Bitcoin's decentralized. But when I go to Bitcoin rich list and Google it and go to BitInfo charts, I see that 42% of Bitcoin sits in 2,100 addresses. Well, that doesn't sound decentralized to me. And then let's pretend it was decentralized. Let's pretend that it was, even though it's not, but let's pretend it was. That's supposed to mean the price doesn't dump because it's decentralized. Some whale's not going to dump the price. Dropped 65% in 2 weeks for COVID. 400 and, or not even, it's been like a year basically. So a year ago, it dropped 65% in 2 weeks. And then a year before that, it dropped 85% over a year. So when I hear people with these noob fantasies about how ownership percentages affect the volatility of an asset, it really drives me wild because their beliefs are the literal exact opposite of any measurements I'm able to do anywhere. Elon Musk, chart goes up and to the right forever, owns 20 or 30%. SpaceX, chart goes up and to the right forever, massive centralized ownership. Every single successful endeavor that human beings participate in has absolutely massively centralized control and ownership every single time. And that includes the United States, where 1% owns 50% of the stuff. And so I think I know where it came from. I think where people decided that capitalism didn't work and that socialism worked is when they learned about proof of work consensus networks and having to have censorship resistance. And then you have to have variety in the network and robustness in the network, and it needs to be decentralized. And then somehow people screwed up and said, you know, that decentralization that works well in the network, that now somehow applies to ownership percentages. And they all get wrecked because of it. It doesn't make any sense. It's the literal opposite of what is true. The most centralized things go up the most, always.
I think part of it is just due in crypto specifically to the BitConnect mentality. Well, how so many people got rug pulled basically in the entire network, which is different as well because
it's
your
really
coin
different. That was a scam. They lied about everything.
Yeah,
they said there's a trading
lied
bot.
About
There's
having
no trading
a bot.
bot.
Yeah, and they owned the website. Like, I mean, they controlled everything basically. Whereas, at least yours is on the Ethereum network, and you can track the coins and move it. Enjoying the liquidity of Ethereum as well.
Well, the thing is, it's
the
like
rest of the network.
The analogy holds that it really just is Bitcoin with a proof of work change and different miners, ETH miners instead of Bitcoin miners. That's all it is. There's no referral program. Can't be an MLM. There's no Ponzi. It doesn't promise you US dollars. It promises you Hex. And who pays them to you? You pay them to yourself, just like a Bitcoin miner.
But isn't it the same as a Ponzi? Whether it's fiat or not?
Then you know what? The S&P 500 is also Ponzi.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, so let's go into
It's all a Ponzi. All of it is a Ponzi.
Well, but I mean,
everything technically can be a Ponzi.
These nuances are important. The difference between a Ponzi and a bubble and an MLM pyramid scheme, these are important nuances and differences. So I'll just tell you the ones that I know you don't know that I think you'd be excited by. So people think that when you put your money in the bank, your money gets lent out and then you make interest. People believe that. You probably believe that. No? Okay.
I want to put my, well, I mean, partially, yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, that's what people believe.
You put it in there.
I'm willing to bet you think that's what happens.
They don't take
because that's what
money.
everyone thinks.
No, absolutely not. They're just numbers on a screen and they print out.
No, it's even weirder than that. It's even weirder than that.
Yeah. Let me know your take on it.
They never lend your money out. They will never lend your money out. And your money, that when you give it to the bank, is a liability, not an asset. It goes on that side of the balance sheet. The reason they never lend your money out is because they can make a lot more money using your money as a reserve to borrow a multiple of it from the government at rates that are absurdly low. And so then the money that actually gets lent out is inflation from the government. And then the yield that you get is inflation from the government. And so in a bank, you do not get paid for lending your money out. You get paid for lending out the free inflation for the government and making the government's little excuse that they make up and change all the time, where they keep lowering the reserve rates necessary. So, and then because people look at HEX and they're like, oh, well,
they became zero last year at 1.2 during COVID.
Wow, crazy.
I believe they brought them back. Yeah, they were zero. I made a harp about it. Yeah. Anyway.
So the point is, like, when you look at a system that's closed and you say, oh, Bitcoin's garbage, it's a Ponzi because that nobody pays for a service. It has no base demand. It's just a speculative Ponzi scheme. It'll all go to zero eventually. Who says this? Nouriel Roubini, Peter Schiff, Nassim Taleb, wrecked plebs. Now, okay, Nassim's made more money than those other two guys. Not all wrecked plebs. So the issue is, I teach people things that they didn't otherwise know that are super interesting, in that in this world that we live in, your yield in your bank is not from lending your coins out. It is from inflation. Your yield as a shareholder in Coca-Cola is not from people selling sugary drinks. It's from inflation. And here's the math on that. You go buy a Coca-Cola from a vending machine. Your money never gets to the people that own shares unless two things happen. They do a stock buyback or they do a dividend. And I can tell you that when you look at a chart of the S&P 500 that only goes up and to the right forever, basically, it drops occasionally 10 or 20 years, 50%. And that's it. Oh, the global financial crisis, big whoop, you did a 50% drop. Who cares? We did a 65% for the COVID dip in Bitcoin. So when you have a chart that only goes up and to the right forever, it is not because they're paying out a lot of dividends. It is not because they're paying out a lot of stock buybacks. It is because greater fools are buying. And guess what? It makes them not fools, because they're getting rich and they're maintaining the value of their purchasing power. The only people that are actually fools in this greater fool system are the people that are sitting on cash. Those people are getting annihilated, because you go to...
Yeah, I find it more difficult to bash HEX in any way, partially because it's kind of proven itself at this point as far as a smart contract, in the sense that it obviously hasn't been hacked and nobody's been able to take it down. The other point being that I guess a big fear, especially early on for folks, was just the price dumping because of those 90%. Ultimately,
well, it has dumped multiple times. I mean, the price has been murdered 5 or 6 or 7 times. I mean, it's dropped 70% like 6 times. Sure. It's in the game. Where do you think the yield comes from? It's a closed system. Where do you think the profit comes from? It comes from 2 places: people buying tops and selling bottoms and locking their losses in. Who got their money? Somebody else. That's the same for all speculative instruments, by the way. The second place it comes from is that paper gains are real gains. This is another thing that I teach people that no one else will teach you. Paper gains are real gains. If you try to sell all the houses in the world at once, they all go to zero. If you try and sell all the shares of stock at once, they all go to zero. If everyone tries to withdraw their money at the bank at once, it all goes to zero. So in fact, every real thing that we have is actually probabilistic. So your paper gains in crypto are roughly as real as your paper gains in stocks are roughly as real, right? And then you've got things like the Flynn effect, where something, the longer it's been around, the longer it will be around. And then you've got the Sharpe ratio, which is the amount of volatility that you pay in order to get appreciation. So there's other metrics that you can look at, but understanding that everything to some degree is just paper gains is very, very important.
Yeah, I suppose. And by paper, you mean unrealized gains, or do you mean
everybody can't sell? And I don't care what it is. If everyone sells, it goes to zero. Everybody sells all the gold at once, it goes to zero.
Yeah.
So everything is a probabilistic guess on what the future value of an asset will be compared to its current value. So if you take something like BitConnect, what was the ratio of people that were going to hear it that did hear about it? And the ratio was screwed. It got so big that everyone heard about it. And then who's the next guy to buy in? It's the same with Bitcoin. Oh, the world's richest guy bought. Guess what, homie? It's time for a bear market now. You got him. You got his money. Now you got to give him a chance to sell the bottom, because who's going to buy after him? So like Michael Saylor buys a couple billion, Elon Musk buys a couple billion. Michael Saylor has a big show to try and get a bunch of other people to buy with their corporate treasuries, and no one buys. Nobody bought. And then Tesla tries to sell cars. I think they sold one car. I literally heard the number that they sold. Were there? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't hear a good number then. Yeah.
I know there were a lot of refunds from my understanding immediately after, but some people, I mean, got through with it. I don't know.
I don't know the good number on that, so I'm not gonna
me either.
Not gonna dive
exactly.
No.
Yeah.
So my point is, like, I have these unique, awesome perspectives about markets and cryptocurrency that no one else has, and my vision of reality is dominating. I called the top on the day. I called the Bitcoin top on the day and posted the chart.
Yeah.
It was the easiest call ever. We fell out of the parabola.
How did you phrase it? How did you phrase it yourself?
I'll look it up real quick.
Okay. All right.
Hold on. I go to richardhart.com because I brag about myself here.
Oh, you're talking about the recent dump, or are we talking about?
I'm talking about 65K. I called the top at 20K and 65K. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I could click you and read it, or I could just tell you. It's up to you.
Yeah.
I have it here.
My screen share never works properly.
I clicked it anyway. Well, here, let me send you the link. I'll send you the link.
All right, cool.
And now all you got to do is look at the time it was posted and then match it to the time on the chart to see it was contemporaneous.
Mm-hmm. And so you saw the parabola shifting? Is that kind of how you...
Yeah, I drew it on the chart. I literally drew the picture. I'm like, green line up, red line down. Hey, guys, Bitcoin's amazing run. It's just like when you have a startup and you're like, our amazing journey. You're like, yeah, they're leaving. They're doing something new now. And
so are you still in the bull market mode? Are you
No, it's over, man.
That you think
we're in a bull trap now. Yeah, this is a bull trap. We're going to go test maybe 48, 50, 51, and then we'll make new lows. That's my opinion.
Okay, that's cool.
And I'm happy to see it, because people that are sacrificing right now, they're getting higher value for the sacrifice. So the Sense Foundation's getting more money.
You don't buy into the S2X stuff, stock to flow model or whatever?
That is garbage.
S2F, yeah.
It failed co-integration. So like basically the guy that came up with that idea was interrogated by Eric Wall and was just like, okay, when will you know it's wrong? When it fails co-integration. And then it failed. And then they're like, pretended it didn't happen. Another thing, it's like when you were telling me like, maybe Hex still sucks or whatever. The thing I want to say is,
I didn't say it still sucks. I said, I said there's potential always. Like if let's say those 90% or whatever were immediately sold to the market, then Hex might be a good buy at that point, just from a trading perspective, because all the coins are dispersed, price has already crashed. And then I have more faith that unless that person bought their own coins back immediately after.
Let's play a fan fiction theory here. Well, the one thing I just want to say, science progresses by having a falsifiable thesis, which means that you need to know when you were wrong. So if you're willing to say that something is a way, you need to make the negative inverse statement, which is, how will I know when it wasn't that way, so that I can learn from that experience? So people say things and then they never check back on the history, and they never learn from whether their guess was right or wrong or not. And it's just, if you're going to say like Hex sucks for any reason, I just want you to know and measure at what point you'll be like, oh, actually it won, because you got to look, Peter Schiff should have already figured out that Bitcoin won, but he just hasn't figured it out yet.
He's using it for clout. He already has.
Sure. Yeah, it's possible. I don't want to accuse him of being that smart, because I dislike him so. So he's good cop, bad cop with his kid buying and him selling, and you're like, okay, good job, bro. So where were we? We were talking inflation, macro. We were falsifiable theses, and then
what do you think about Trace Mayer and his disappearance?
Oh, the fan fiction theory.
Yeah, that's right. We can jump to that.
Let me tell you the theory. Let me tell you the fan fiction I hear.
Please.
The fan fiction that I hear is that I made 1 million Ethereum. Vitalik only has 300,000. The fan fiction is that I made 1 million Ethereum in the adoption amplifier, and that I own 90% of all the coins. Now let me ask you a question. If it were true that I had 1 million Ethereum, why would I need to sell Hex ever? Why? I like Hex price being up. Makes me feel good. When Hex price is not up, I don't feel good.
That's been the test the whole time. I mean, like, assuming you own them, then my thought would be the smartest thing to do would be to hold it and not do anything like that in perpetuity. Obviously, that would be the.
You just, I mean, let's say.
But we've seen
game theory, theoretical, optimal play for a person that had 90% of supply of something is to continue to make that thing awesome until it's so liquid that if they ever want to do something, they could.
Right. But in crypto, you see the opposite. You see people taking the quick cash oftentimes and running away.
I've been retired for 20 years. I don't do that. I've been retired 20 years. I've been retired for 20 years. And by the way, do you know how much money has come in the sacrifice phase?
No.
600 million.
It's a lot.
400 million of HEX, 220 million of stable, 18 million. It's actually, I underestimated it. It's when this HEX was sacrificed, it was worth more. It was worth like 600 million, but then the price dipped. So now it's 400 million. And the stables are at 220. The Bitcoin's at 18 million, a million on Litecoin, a million on Monero, 2.5 million in Bitcoin Cash. There's a lot of coins that can be sacrificed. And then you look and you're like, okay, this address, it receives tons of coins. It sells them all for stables, but it just holds the HEX. Now, what do you think that does to the HEX price? Now, I have no expectation of work of others or profit from it. But I'm just saying what I see on chain is that it looks like everything else is getting dumped, but the HEX isn't. Interesting. That seems kind of cool if you're a HEX holder, I guess, right? But once again, I have no expectation of profit from the work of others. I have to say this all the time. And
of course.
I do the opposite of what other people do. You know what other people do? Let's take Alexander's. They tell you a story, and then they get your money, and then they just steal the money. I do the opposite. I don't tell any stories. You want to look about Pulse? Code's done. Go in the GitLab. It's done. HEX, launch done. The things that I talk about, usually they're done, right? So I do the opposite of what all these scammers do, selling you these hopes and dreams. I don't even make price call. I'll talk to you about price calls in Bitcoin and price calls in Ethereum, but I'll never talk to you about price calls in HEX.
Yeah. I had a phone call there or text or something. Cool. Yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit about actually, Trace Mayer, what did you think about that? Just like a blurb on, like, why do you think he completely disappeared? Besides, obviously, the Wimble coin and all that drama. Do you think have you heard anything at all from him? Because I haven't gotten a response.
So here's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I just want to know.
The Bitcoin community on public communication channels is violently toxic. Violently, it's insane. And I used to be on that team, and it was fun when I was on it. But then when you're like, hey guys, we need to actually change our worldview because what we've got ain't working and what other people has is working, they're not down for it. And so everyone in cryptocurrency, the cypherpunks, cares about anonymity. They care about it. It matters. This is to free us from government control. This is to give us power over our own lives. I just had my YouTube channel banned yesterday and then unbanned. It ain't a good feeling, man.
That happens to you.
It ain't a good feeling.
No?
Yeah, it happened to me.
Yeah,
right during the stream. Deleted. Yeah. They just deleted the whole channel. I didn't even get 3 warnings or 2 warnings.
Yeah.
They just deleted the whole channel.
How did you get it back? How did you appeal that? Did you get a response? Yeah, Twitter.
No, I didn't even mess with any of that. It's just Twitter. I'm afraid to mess with any of that because I think it will shift you into another platform where they can't help you. I think if you try to appeal, they'll put you in the no man's land where no one can help you, is what it feels like. But this is basically, I ain't going to say the word, but it starts with a T and it ends with RISM. Violent random attacks against people that are unsuspecting that harmed them. And you're always wondering, what is it? Was it something that was said? What it was something that was done? And it just happens to everybody. It's totally random. It's not the titles in your text. It's not what you say. It's not, I still try and avoid certain words for luck.
I think it is like what you say as well. I mean, they have the subtitling system set up already. So they're analyzing what words you're using and probably using AI to figure out what you're talking about. And now they have automatic chapters too. I don't know if you've seen that thing, supposedly.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I notice I haven't cursed a single time on the show, and that is roughly a miracle for me. Yeah. Roughly a miracle. I have a potty mouth.
I got to figure out how to push your button. Let me see. I don't know. I guess I can continue
I'm sure you can come up with something.
I think the one that got you was the HEX scam one. Your face kind of shifted there a little bit.
It just, we won. We won. I'm so tired of hearing that one. People talk, wait, hold on. When rug pull. That's my favorite one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
People, so the fan fiction, when rug pull. But let me ask you the other question. I'm showing you how to inverse things, right? So you have your thesis, and then you have your antithesis. You have your art, and you have your negative space in the art. And so what about a magic carpet ride? You never hear about that. If you were a really rich guy and you liked something, maybe you would buy more of it. That doesn't seem like a giant fan fiction theory to me. That seems like what Amazon does when they're like when Apple does when they do a stock buyback. They're reinvesting. Well, they're kind of distributing profits to their users, but they are reinvesting in their own company to some degree. And so would you punish founders for reinvesting in their own company? If Jeff Bezos said, you know what, I made money on this other thing, I want to put it into Amazon, people would be like, scam. No, you're not allowed to buy, only us. It's just silly. Like which is it, guys? Do you think I have a million ETH, or do you think I need to rug pull you? And how come I never hear about the magic carpet ride? It's crazy. Have no expectation of profit from me or work for me. Thank you. But you never hear about the magic carpet ride. I had to come. Well, my community came up with the term.
I guess the big test was is Richard smart enough to not rug pull? I guess that's the big one. And
how's it working out so far?
In that way, it's working. It's all right. It's been okay. I'm up 380,000% on my $5
before staking, dude.
Yeah. I know Ken Bozak has been like super boasting about it anyway.
I think he's got like 150 grand out of his like.
I've always been happy for people to make money. Like I just what I do is I don't care about money. I've been like that for a while. My thing is about stuff that I think will be impactful. So I actually find what you're doing with Pulse to be pretty impactful.
Well,
so like ETH,
wait till I tell you about Pulse. I haven't even told you about Pulse, man. I didn't even tell you about it yet. It's good.
Yeah.
It's real good. You want to hear about it?
Sure.
All right.
It's fun. Oh yeah, but it was just no. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right.
Tell me about Pulse.
So, imagine. Okay, what's the biggest problem? There's only 3 full blockchains: Ethereum, Matic, BSC. What are Matic and BSC? Forks of Ethereum. Okay. Oh, I guess Bitcoin's full too. 4 full blockchains. All the other blockchains are empty. Nobody's using them. Empty. Just speculative comedy. We're gonna have smart contracts before ADA. We're gonna beat Ethereum 2.0 to market with a better feature set that's more secure as well. Hilarious. So the biggest problem
with blockchain, Pulse is a whole blockchain, and it's going to be
a fork of Ethereum.
It's a fork of Ethereum, and the code's already on GitHub, but it's not released. It's not live yet.
Well, we're fighting it. So, we have our private testnet running, works great, and then they're running all these changes because they're doing this EIP 1559 and this fork that's coming up like maybe this week. It's soon, like super soon. The London fork, last one was the Berlin fork, and so they just keep pushing these like changes, and we're having to like roll with the punches a little bit, and so we're massaging the network to be able to make it public, and it's just a fight, right? Because the Geth software, it's not actually that good. Like we have a lot of improvements to make to it. We've already had some of those. We've had one of our improvements accepted into the main Geth Ethereum repository. So for everyone who's listening, Geth is 90% of all Ethereum nodes. And so when you use Ethereum, you're actually using Geth. The remaining 10% that are open Ethereum nodes called Parity, which is no longer supported and no longer developed.
They have Besu, they have like Nethermind or some other thing. They have a lot. I mean, there are quite a few now.
Nobody uses
at least for clients for Ethereum 2.0. So
doesn't help us on ETH 1.0. So the 10% of nodes, the parity ones, those are just for stat sites. They're the only guys that use those. All the miners use
they
Geth.
abandoned it for Polkadot.
Exactly.
That's my thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And Geth will be, well, anyway. So there's a lot of stuff going on. There's only 5 guys that maintain Geth. So when you hear that Ethereum has 10,000 developers, those 10,000 developers are building things which make the lives of the 5 guys that keep Geth running harder. And Geth is Ethereum. So everyone thinks that Ethereum is like this powerhouse, this indomitable force. It's really just 5 guys keeping it alive. And one of them, Peter Saligy, I'm not sure his last name, how to pronounce it. Yeah. He's like the hero of keeping Ethereum alive. And they don't have enough funding to even hire the people that they want to hire, because the people that they want to hire instead get bought up by guys like me, the Ethereum killers. But I'm not an Ethereum killer. I'm an Ethereum helper. I'll explain how. So we are able to improve Geth, and other people are able to improve it, and it needs help. And there's only 5 guys working on it. So if you're an open source guy and you want to make Geth better, please do. It would be great.
But they're just mostly maintaining it. I mean, like all the developers who are really developing are really focused, I think, on like all those other clients on Ethereum 2.0. Sure. So I mean, that's the big thing. I don't know. So
we forked it. We forked Geth, just like BSC forked Geth, just like Matic forked Geth. We switched it to proof of work, just like Matic did, or proof of stake, just like Matic did, just like BSC did. And we brought to the table a couple of extra awesome things. So why am I mentioning BSC and Matic? Because they both did very well. There's $8 billion of coins sitting on Matic that they could steal whenever they want because they have an admin key. Now, by steal, I mean freeze forever. I don't think they could just send them to themselves, but they can lock them forever. So there's an admin key that can lock forever $8 billion of stuff that's on Matic. That's the opposite of why cryptocurrency was invented.
USDC, I'm pretty sure, is the exact same way. It's there so that they can literally
but it has to be that way. That has to be that way.
That's the banker coin.
The Matic one doesn't have to be that way.
No.
They don't need that. They don't need that ability at all.
Maybe they're doing it because of future regulation concern that they might have to do something.
Is that where you want to put your money?
I'm just positing why they might even want to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
let's not make excuses for them. Every time we see admin keys, we see horror. Every time. It's the reason crypto was invented was to get rid of counterparty risk. It's the only reason it was invented was to get rid of counterparty risk.
To go back to HEX, doesn't that kind of counteract against your point of 90% being held by one person?
Because that he doesn't own it. He can just steal it. It's different. People like.
Yeah, I see. I see how you're. It's a little different. But
there's no admin keys in HEX. There's not.
Yeah.
If you want to cut off your nose to spite your face, that's a bad move. It's why miners don't 51% attack the chain all the time. It's why Elon Musk doesn't decide to sell below market his shares just to hurt everybody else, because it hurts him. People act in their own best interest. What is in the best
smart
interest?
Test, Richard. We get it. We get it. You have some sort of brain on your shoulders, unlike we would expect for a lot of people.
Well, those guys that don't own those 8 billion, what's in their best interest is to take it. So our bridge will not have this admin key silliness, just like Uniswap used to not have admin key silliness. Then they have been adding more of it over time, which is kind of sucky. And then the problem with BSC is, one, it's like 20 cents to do a transaction on there now because it filled up. 2, it has twice the attack surface because it's a dual chain system. It doesn't have its own native token. So the native token of BSC, their Ethereum fork, is BNB on the Binance chain, a Cosmos Tendermint chain. And so if either of those chains has a failure, they go down. They also, so in our coin, we burn 25% of the fees and we have no inflation. In BNB, there's no algorithmic burning. Every once in a while, some guy in China decides he might burn some coins, maybe. And then that is set to stop once half the supply is burnt, and it's almost burnt already. So they're not going to have fee burn soon, and it's not algorithmic, and it's twice the attack surface. And so we have superior technological properties to both Matic and BSC. And here's the kicker. Here's the real kicker. So all 3 of those projects save the environment because they don't have proof of work. All 3 of those projects have massively higher throughput than Ethereum by like 10 or 20x. We have the largest airdrop in history. So instead of Uniswap getting forked and making Pancake Swap and BSC rich, and instead of Quick Swap on Matic getting rich, instead of Uniswap getting rich, Uniswap is on our chain. So those founders have a chance to get rich, because instead of the copycats, there'll still be copycats that do very well. I'm probably going to copy Unity V2 as well, right? So fine. But these guys at least have a chance to be in the game, because Uniswap's not making any money on BSC and Uniswap's not making any money on Matic, but the copycats are. Mm-hmm. And what if you're a coin that's priced out on Ethereum? It's too expensive for you to function. Like I hear Decentraland is wrecked. Like their gas costs are so high that you just can't do anything. Those guys have a chance with us because you'll be able to transact for cheaply here. And it's the exact same code with lower fees and higher throughput and lower latency and better for the environment. It's the world's largest airdrop. You got USDC, you're going to have USDC here. Now, will it be worth $1? I don't know. Tether got fractionally reserved when the Polish bank seized $650 million of their dollars on the behest of the Polish government. and they were fractionally reserved, and they made up the difference by having a token sale with the Leo token. But it held its peg, and it was fractionally reserved, and it held its peg. And so the question is, how fractionally reserved can it get? Can it go to 0 fractional reserve? Maybe. And here's the funny part. How like is that maybe? Sure. And people say it's backed by guns. You're like, if it was backed by guns, it would go up in value, not down. It ain't backed by anything, or else it would stop going down. So
I think a lot of things could break for sure if they're not maintained well enough after forking. But it'll be interesting as an experiment to watch.
Well, the USDC guys have an admin key. They can invalidate all the coins, but then their users will probably sue them for screwing them. Oh, and then do they want sued by other users for stealing?
It's going to be fascinating then, because we haven't seen a real major Ethereum fork since Ethereum Classic, and I think probably when we get Ethereum 2.0, there'll probably be another one.
Probably.
But it'll
if
be
you ever
interesting.
get Ethereum 2.0. Yeah. You want to hear what's wrong with Ethereum 2.0?
What's wrong?
First, you want to write some new code that hasn't had a bunch of battle testing and people have lost a lot of money on it, like Ethereum's code that we have now. You're going to learn all those experiences again. People are going to lose money on that new chain. They're going to find where the bugs are, and money's going to get lost. Beta testing new software sucks. Making very slight alterations to improve what we already have and is battle tested is a superior method. Second, the design that they put for their staking is rubbish. It is garbage. It's already lost over $200 million has already been lost to their staking model. In Ethereum 2.0, currently, you need to have $70,000 to buy yourself a network admin job. So if you have $70,000, which is 34 Ethereum, you can buy yourself a network admin job by staking it, which gives you the right to be, 32.
No worries.
I appreciate it. I had it wrong. So if you have 32 Ethereum, now you can be a validator. And what does be a validator mean? You can go set up network hardware on infrastructure what doesn't go down. If it goes down, you lose money. If a cosmic ray from the sun does a bit flip in your CPU, you lose money. And so now you cost you 70 grand to buy a job, and you might lose money now. And so what does everyone do?
There could be a consensus agreement in the event of some giant flare or something to get people their money back.
No, it's not a... It's a very rare occurrence. I mean, if you put your servers under a body of water, it happens very rarely, but the server architecture to do that is hard. So the issue is that even if you have 100% uptime, you bought yourself a job and you have a bill, you have a server you've got to pay for, and network connectivity you've got to pay for. And to pay 70 grand to buy a job, people aren't interested. So you know what they do? They give their money to somebody else, and you say, you validate for me. And what happens? Those guys steal the money. So 100,000 Ethereum were already the keys lost. They literally lost the keys.
Wait, when did this happen? I missed this entire thing.
I think it was called Fireblocks. Fireblocks did custody. Custody. Now, why was Bitcoin invented? Why was cryptocurrency invented? To put you in the control of your money and to get rid of middlemen. And so what does Ethereum 2.0's design do? It mandates mandatory middlemen. And people are going to lose money over and over and over again. It's disgusting. They don't even exist yet. Ethereum 2.0 doesn't even exist yet. And people lost $200 million on it already. HEX solves this. We have delegated proof of stake. You hold your keys forever. You don't let go of your keys. You can delegate your stake to somebody else, and they will validate and reward you with a percentage of the rewards. And you don't got to buy a server, and you don't got to learn to be a server admin, and you don't got to take your keys out of your wallet and give them to somebody else. It's better. It's obviously better.
Well, there's Rocket Pool coming out for Ethereum. I mean, there's so much being built on Ethereum. Again, like you mentioned, those 10,000 developers, whatever, building and making.
But we're building on Ethereum.
But they're building really cool
Ethereum. We are also Ethereum. It's the same code, but better.
Okay.
So the same guys are calling me, telling me
network effect. What about that?
And BSC disproved that. I would not have known that this could have worked.
If number
except BSC
goes up
showed
matters.
me that it worked.
Okay.
And then Matic did the same thing, and it worked again. And we're doing the same thing, but better than either of those with the world's largest airdrop. It's just awesome. Like I know it.
I'm fascinated about that airdrop idea. I mean, airdrop, it's really just a copy of every single coin.
And your keys just work. Your keys work. You don't have to do anything. You just go into MetaMask and click where it says mainnet Ethereum and click it and click custom and type a new URL and click OK. And all of your coins are just sitting there waiting for you. Yeah. It's so beautiful. It's really cool.
Yeah, if you have the demand and I mean, if trading does blow up, obviously they'll have some sort of value, especially some of these bigger coins. I wonder how much the DAO tokens are selling for. I was just wondering. I got to go on Uniswap. I wonder if somebody's made a pool for DAO tokens. I'm like super curious. Or you could create a pool for be a liquidity provider. So, I'm sorry, I was like thinking out loud.
Minimum viable launch is a Uniswap front end. I'm going to try and have my own like fork done of Uni V2, but whether I do or not, you're going to have a front end for normal Uniswap. Period. That's going to happen. That's minimum viable. Bridge to Ethereum, so you can get fiat in and out because they got pairs listed all over the place. So in the beginning, and it's very important, this launches at zero value, so people don't get a tax bill. If you receive a bunch of money, you might owe some tax. But if you don't receive any money, what you receive is just coins that are worthless.
Yeah, they're all.
You don't owe any tax. And then they can accrue value later, and then you can have capital gains if you ever sell or incur some other tax event. So it's a really awesome design, really, really awesome design. So like when we launch minimum viable, go to hex.com works because a lot of Hexicans love Pulse. I've seen Pulse tattoos. Pulse doesn't even exist yet. I've seen three Pulse tattoos. Maybe, I think it's 3, but maybe 2. That's crazy. You know, we've only got like, I don't know, 14 or 20 Hex tattoos I've seen. And then, so go to hex.com has to work for eHex and pHex, Ethereum and Pulse. Uniswap front end, bridge, no admin keys, bridge to Ethereum, and that's it. That's your minimum viable launch right there.
How are you going to run the front end? I'm curious.
Which front end?
For Uniswap, as in like to make sure that
I already have
portal.
one. I already have one for V2 now. Like you can go to ethhex.com and we upgraded. We got rid of all their uni shilling garbage and just stripped that away, and then put Hex as the primary pair there, so you don't have to like add a list and all this crap. You know, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what open source software was designed for.
Yeah, how many people do you currently have contributing code at least to that?
I mean, I've got like 4 really good devs and a bunch of like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 guys that help out a lot, but they're not full-time guys.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I could go on a hiring spree right now, but the issue is then I'm going to load my existing guys with training the new guys, and everything's so close that I'd rather just let them finish, you know, because it's so close. So for things like the Uniswap fork, you know, I've got a quote in from 2 different guys, and then if it doesn't look right, then I'm just going to have my existing team do it, you know, because they're going to have free time shortly.
This is a way more complicated launch than Hex, from what I can understand. I mean, this is a whole, I mean, it's not something that it will obviously be too stressful maybe to you.
I don't know, man. This seems easier to me. I agree with you that like when you think about it, you're like launching a new consensus network seems like it should be harder. But I'm telling you that this is like going really good. It's going really well.
Yeah. Well, like I'm excited to see it. I mean, I am interested to see what comes out of Pulse's launch and how that develops for sure. When do you hope to launch it? I'm sure that's a common question.
I was hoping to get testnet this week, but this week is now rapidly ending.
Yeah.
So I guess it's going to be next week. I mean, it's so close, man.
Is it an incentivized testnet or anything like that, or how does that work?
The private testnet has been up forever, and then we deployed the server infrastructure to make it public. And then you run into like if you've ever tried to use the IAM system inside AWS, bro, I'm a smart guy, but I'm not smart enough to hack it. Can't do it. I tried. I can't hack it. Yeah. So if I dare you, if you have an AWS account, to like click the IAM tab, the Access Manager tab, bro, it's impossible. It is so complicated.
Yeah,
that's like, it's terrible. So, you know, you run into little things like that. You're like, oh, well, I thought it would be easier to provision these network services. So, you know, and then I got to hand that to somebody else to do it because I couldn't. But other than that, I mean, it's the guy that's handling the architecture has handled large architecture before and has it set to scale. And he kind of overdid the testnet. Like the testnet is basically built to mainnet spec. Because if it were just me and I were doing the testnet, I'd be like, it's a testnet. Who cares if it goes down? Chuck it on one server with no load balancing and just go. And if it falls over, then get another server and load balance them, but don't preemptively optimize. But my team is kind of more like anal only want to do things perfect or don't do them at all kind of thing. And I don't want to try and change the way they work because they're killing it so well. So I'm happy to just wait the extra 6 days for them to do all their sick load balancing, you know, madness. And I'm like, fine, you know, you want all these clusters, do it. Sure, hope I never have to log in there to maintain them though.
Yeah. What does the architecture look like to get the higher throughput, and how do you hope to make it a more secure system having proof of stake before even Ethereum 2.0 launches? Like, what is?
Well, we already know it works because BSC and Matic are working with it. So like a lot of these parameters were known to be good to us because those two networks are doing volume and it's working. And then some things we had to figure out on our own, like how often are you going to validate? How often can you rotate validators? What percentage of the fees are you going to burn? You know, when the coins get burnt, do they get sent to a burn address? Does it register an event on chain? And there's these individual unique parameters that we needed to like deal with. But things like block time, we didn't. We're just like, okay, BSC uses 3-second blocks, we'll use 3-second blocks. Okay, BSC has 21 validators. I like the number 33. We'll have 33. Sounds bigger. People like it more. But in reality, they're just, you could have 10 or you could have 50, then the network would still be fine. You know, those particular parameters, you only my statement on it is the more validators you have, the lower average quality of validator you get, because there's a power law distribution for the quality of the hardware and the networking connectivity and the admins that maintain them. And so I don't really think that there's much advantage going to higher numbers, because you're just going to have worse quality of experience with worse servers as you go down the list, you know? And then if something sucks ever, you just change it. Like, oh, the government's kicking doors down. All right, well, we're forking the code and now it's 1,000 validators and we have slower blocks, but we have more, you know, kick down the door robustness. You don't need to preemptively optimize these things. Like Ethereum preemptively optimized a DDoS attack vector and raised the gas prices 2.6x for hexagons, which is the reason we're having this conversation right now. So Martin Swindon and Vitalik raised the gas costs on average 2.6x for hexagons, because they said that maybe someone could DDoS the network with maybe some very expensive specially formed blocks that take longer to validate. And then because they took longer to validate, you could 33% attack the network instead of a 51% attack. That's a lot of maybes. And how come no one's doing it right now? Because it would just waste millions of dollars for no reason. People don't like wasting their money. There's no way to profit on it. You're just wasting your money. Monero just had hack. If you got your Monero and spent it within an hour of getting it, it wasn't anonymous. Price went up. Ethereum Classic gets hacked, price goes up. So this concept that you could like wreck a network and make money, it doesn't even work. So his preemptive optimization screwed my people hard.
It wasn't just for you, though. It could have been for some
it wasn't against us.
Because it
wasn't against us. It was just a poor decision that he made. It's like having two kids and giving one more allowance and seeing what happens. Other people in Ethereum got a discount based on my people getting screwed. Nope. We're forking you now, dude. Now, here's the deal. We're going to help lower the fees on Ethereum by taking load off of it. That should make Ethereum more valuable, I hope. And we want to be friendly and we want to be nice. And so I'm just going to...
what will happen to the hex on Ethereum? I mean, it'll still be there.
It can't get rid of it. It's invincible. You can't kill it.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's always going to be there.
Hopefully adoption all moves to the Pulse chain, basically, is what the goal would be.
I want to see expensive on both sides. Now, some people don't feel that way. Some people would prefer to just, you know, run with the more efficient system. But me, I don't want to see cheap hex anywhere. I don't want to. So
we'll see.
You know, I can't decide for the market. The market's going to decide. I'm just saying, like, 10,000 developers in Ethereum are adding load to the poor 5 guys that are Ethereum. And like you said, people are abandoning it left and right. You used to have a multi-client ecosystem. You used to have parity and Geth. Parity dropped off. And now you've got just Geth. And I would be willing to bet that my team is more likely to improve Geth than the core Geth team is. And so it's like, I'm trying to make the world a better place. I'm trying to make Ethereum better. And I consider it to be a friendly, synergistic interaction. Now, I'll give you a caveat. If there's a war, So right now I'm just planning on doing like a single bridge, efficient. But if there's a war, I can make it wideband and open up a bunch of bridges and open up liquidity and say, you know what, let's have liquidity mining on their side, the expensive side. And now you're going to have to arb 10,000 pairs against each other on 2 chains. And the notational scaling for that is wrecked. Now, I don't want to do that. I want to be friendly. I want to see the Ethereum fees come down. We still got Hex on Ethereum. I want to see Ethereum do good. But if people are mean, I can wideband it and their chain will fill up before ours. And nobody will be able to work over there, but they'll still be able to work over here. And we got the same coins with the same code. Now there will be things that are screwy, like stuff with admin keys where the admin didn't bless you, right? You beg the admin, please admin, don't take the front end down, like DYDX. Please DYDX admin, don't take the front end down. There's no open source version. And then I won't be able to do anything. And then I'm like reading how to use the Etherscan right code function, please. There's a lot of begging going on in DeFi because it's not actually DeFi, it's fake. There ain't no front end for DYDX. There ain't no front end for AAVA or E or whatever. When those guys decide to take that server down, you crying and begging like a little baby. So I represent real decentralization. If I die and hex.com goes offline, you got 10 other sites you can go to. You can go to another hex.com, backuphex.com, hexmob.win, apphex.win, Etherscan right contract function. I'm sure I'm forgetting some.
I don't want you to die. Do not die.
Thank you.
Although I'm sure plenty of hexagons would be very, very happy knowing that it would never dump. Well, not that you own them. Or the keys, or the keys to that crypto. But anyway,
why is there a sniper red dot here? I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah, be careful. Anyway, yeah, I shouldn't have jinxed anything like that, or even brought that up. But anyway, thank you for not dumping on your folks, Richard. I'm just being facetious,
good,
of course.
It's all good.
I appreciate.
No, funny thing, I'm actually getting bodyguards just for fun.
You should.
It's weird.
I mean, somebody like of your caliber.
I don't have any really credible threats, but yeah. I have so much money that it's like, might as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I'm going to get laid. I don't know if it's going to be harder or easier.
No, you got to watch out who you lay with. You got to make sure that the bodyguards stay outside if you trust them. You know, trust your keys, your private key. Anyway, take care, Richard. Thank you so much again for the conversation. Everybody for joining us.
Can I show my stuff? Can I show links?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, if you want to donate to charity, you got to go to sens.org because that get free coins for donating thing. It's over in 3 days and 20 minutes. And then if you want to get slightly more points, you can sacrifice to these addresses to support free speech. But, you know, if you want to donate to charity to get medical research done, you got to go to sens.org and email them at airdrop@sens.org. If you want free books, t.me/scivive. If you want to follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/RichardHartWin, pulsechain.com, x.com. That's it.
Telegram. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
All right,
it's
awesome.
Good talking
Thank you
to
so much. Yeah, likewise.
Hey, do you think it's a bull market or bear market?
I'm with the bull. I'm with the bull side. But some might say I have a bias as a YouTuber because we also do better when the price is going up.
It's true.
So I'm aware of that, but I personally feel like it's still doing well. But I don't know. You're the one who's been around since.
I make more money if you're right. I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right too.
This is a Bitcoin bear, by the way. It's labeled Bitcoin bear.
I think inflation. I just can't. I think inflation's a real thing. I think numbers gonna go up. Dollar value of every single asset. Obviously we've never seen some level of inflation like this, and Bitcoin is here. It exists.
Not my lifetime. In the 70s we did it, but not in my lifetime.
Yeah. So I personally just over the next decade I see crypto prices much higher. I don't care about the short term. Yeah, same. Anyway,
everybody likes you. You're super popular, man. I think it's your tan. People love your tan. I think it's you do videos near the swimming pool. That's what's up.
Yeah, I'm
it's
like
the body,
bro.
bro.
I don't. I'm hungover as shit today, to be honest. I was like, I woke up like, I'm never drinking. I'm in the desert now. I live in Vegas now, and
crazy.
Like, here the atmosphere pulls like liquid out of your body, and I drank. I had like 6 IPAs yesterday. Not a good idea. Yeah. Anyway, but somehow we made it through this one. So thanks for sticking around.